Okay, this video is a direct response to one of my viewers who was concerned that their resume wasn't getting them enough interviews. One thing to remember if you're coming out of school or you're a recent graduate is that you should apply to places who are looking for college graduates. Many organizations have a totally different process for getting you in the door if you're a recent or upcoming graduate, so make sure you look for that. I also highly recommend checking out my video, How to Ace One of the Most Ambiguous Interview Questions, which is tell me about yourself for when those interviews start rolling in. Before we talk about content, let's talk about formatting. Your job as a business analyst is to communicate and facilitate understanding. If you can't do that with your resume, which for you should be pretty uncomplicated information, there won't be a lot of confidence that you're going to be able to do this with complex business problems. And also remember, this isn't an art project, so the goal isn't to be wildly artistic and unique. The goal is to be clear and well formatted to facilitate quick understanding of the given topic, which in this case is you and the value that you can bring. This is your first test as a business analyst. Can you format and organize your resume clearly? Obviously, I wasn't already a business analyst coming out of school, nor did I have any directly relevant internships, so I didn't have any specific business analysis related experience that I could put on my resume. So what I focused on was demonstrating the experiences that gave me transferable skills. One challenge I had coming out of college was that I held 8 different jobs. In order, I was a museum security guard. I sold books door to door for a summer. I was a fan photographer at football games. I was a cashier at a bookstore. I was an IT assistant for the School of Social Work. I was a dormitory desk assistant. I was a dance instructor, and I was a retail sales associate, which were far too many jobs to put on a fresh out of school resume. In addition to that, I was a part of 3 different dance organizations, and for a while it was simultaneously. I was part of a small tryout only team for which I ended up being captain. I was in a large everyone is welcome kind of team that put on huge end of the semester productions. And I volunteered for an organization where I had a few months to get non-dancers big stage ready for a competition. I was a pretty busy bee on campus, so how did I organize my resume? First, I input my classwork to show that I knew that I was applying for the right job, and to show my ability to learn new concepts and apply them effectively. By simply putting my coursework, the technical skills I obtained, and my major GPA, I made it clear that learning new concepts and domains and being able to apply them was something that I was capable of. For a business analyst, the success of any project or initiative is being able to understand a new domain well enough to solve problems within that domain. Next, I put specific projects I worked on through my classwork. In my major, we had many projects, and I picked 2 that I felt I had large impacts on and felt the best about talking through. The first project was one where I was the technical lead and did 100% of the development, and I included all the technologies I used to accomplish that project. This demonstrated my technical aptitude in case I applied to a job that wanted that technical aptitude, but also proved I could learn things in a classroom and then execute it in real life. For the second project, I did 0% of the development work, but I was responsible for doing the initial modeling, as well as responsible for all the stakeholder communications, and our system ended up actually being implemented by stakeholders, which was a county medical organization. This showed my ability to manage stakeholders as well as present information. When you pair these 2 together, it showed that I was capable of being successful in multiple roles on the team and could work well on a team to get things done. Then I put my work experience. I picked 3 jobs that I felt would have the best talking points for when I was inevitably asked about my experience. I partially picked them because when prepping for interviews, you get asked those situational questions like, tell me about a time you had to, and these 3 held the majority of those scenarios, so it tied everything together nicely. For the first, I picked the dormitory assistant. As a desk assistant, I was the first point of contact for students and parents, and there was a high degree of responsibility given to the desk assistant because you're responsible for the safety and security of all the students in that dorm. In my case, this was 900 students. I was in constant contact with people and had to help them resolve issues, which demonstrated interpersonal skills in a wide range for a wide range of personalities and situations. I can handle verbal communication even with people who aren't necessarily having a good day. The next was a technology assistant. I didn't actually do any coding or anything like that. I was primarily responsible for general technology support for the School of Social Work. Technically, I never did anything more complex than maybe update Microsoft Office or show people how to connect to like the printer. The primary skills that this demonstrated was my ability to communicate technical processes or instructions to people who weren't so technical. So again, interpersonal skills, verbal communication skills, and also patience. Lots and lots of patience. The last job I listed, which was actually the first chronologically because I reversed the order when I did my resume, was selling books door to door. I did this right after my freshman year and it sucked. And it's what made me change my major into something that I thought I would actually enjoy much more. I learned a lot about myself. I learned about success and failure. I gained a lot of knowledge in interpersonal communication, negotiation, and just personal strength. And most importantly, this demonstrated a lot of responsibility since I had to work independently 90% of the time. And this one was actually one of the biggest talking points in almost all of my interviews. Finally, on to the extracurriculars. One thing to remember is that your extracurriculars don't have to be technically related. There was an information systems organization on my campus, which I barely participated in, and it was only because it was mandatory for my major. Instead, I was fully focused on dancing, which was a hobby of mine that ended up becoming like a huge part of my life while I was in college. What made my extracurriculars valuable to mention on my resume was that in those organizations, we always worked as a team, and on those teams, I was almost always a leader. A captain, a choreographer, or a teacher. In some cases, I volunteered to lead. In other cases, I was elected to lead. So this showed that I was willing to take on the responsibility for the success of a group of people, and I was also trusted by my peers to lead us to success. It doesn't matter if it's the Star Wars club, the math club, a fraternity, an athletic club, or whatever. It's what you did for the success of the organization that makes it worthy to put on your resume. Also, people find talking about those things a little bit more interesting than the same class projects that literally everybody does in school. So that's how I focused my experiences to get interviews and land my first BA job. It goes beyond just listing what you've done, but also demonstrating how what you have done has given you transferable skills. If I had to rewrite my resume for my fresh out of college self, I might reword a few portions based on what I know now would sell myself better for the role of a business analyst. However, I would still pick the same jobs, projects, and extracurricular activities. If you're still in school and you haven't accomplished anything or you slacked your way through school or your current job, then chances are there won't be much you can do about making your resume great, shy of lying, which I highly recommend you don't do. If that's true, then this video for you is more of a guide of things you need to start doing and doing well to prove that you would actually make a good business analyst. Join clubs, volunteer as a tutor, take on challenges, push yourself to be the kind of person that you'd want to hire. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will answer you there, or I will create a whole new video just like this one. So subscribe to see those questions get answered. And thanks for watching.